Chris,
Heath,
what you been doing?
I'm just still in astonishment about that text message you sent me. That was such a well-placed typo.
Dude, who should we thank? QWERTY himself for putting the B next to the N? Because what were some of our thoughts? Because the music guessing game is such a clunky title for a segment.
It is a mouthful.
And we're so creative, you and me. We ought to have been able to come up with an ingenious... So I came up with like OST off because it's still like a face-off.
And I was thinking maybe something like, now that's what I call video game music or something like that. But Mobius Tunes is such an appropriate name.
And it was a mistake.
So I'm going to go back and retcon all of our old episodes.
Oh yeah, that was my first suggestion, was that you try to retroactively in all of the episode titles or something like that.
I will edit the description of the podcasts to call it Mobius Tunes.
Yeah.
And when we revisit the music segment in like a few more episodes for the end of year special, we'll refer to it by that
it's
name.
A damn shame that the episode after we did that segment, we came up with the best title ever.
It is very unfortunate, but better late than never, right?
True.
So the actual name of this podcast is Mobius Tubes, and this is episode 26.
On October 13th, 2019.
Yeah, right in the middle of the fall season.
Chris,
what's your favorite season here?
Well, okay. You could make the guess since my birthday is in the fall.
Right, you're now a whole year older.
Yes, and I had a good birthday. I don't mind winter, probably just because that's when it was fun in school. Everybody would hang out indoors.
My favorite place to be.
Yeah, which is a real problem because my girlfriend hates winter and is definitely moving south as soon as it's able to do so. So that's going to be a real problem for me because the most fall-like weather I would have would still be like 65 and sunny, which I don't want.
Right. I'm in agreement with you. I really like the fall, and I would even extend that into the early winter.
Yeah. It's great.
It is.
Valentine's Day kind of sucks, but like holiday season, what's not to like? The sun being missing? Who needs that?
And we've got the Game Awards going on. It's my favorite time of the year.
Do you think we are in the minority?
No, the fall is usually a really popular choice, but probably summer is probably the first or second most popular.
Who cares about that?
Spring is the dark horse here, obviously.
Oh, yeah. If you like spring, then you probably follow too many Zodiac Twitters.
Okay. So, now that we are transitioning into being an earth science podcast, how about we transition back to video games?
Yeah, once we get through the 5 minutes of not video game banter to trick all the first-time listeners. Actually, you know what? I still have a little bit of non-video game stuff that we can talk about.
Go for it.
Dude, I watched so many goddamn movie clips. I mean, I watched a movie since last episode, but the majority of my cinema experience is just going through YouTube clips of, you know, like those channels that'll just break up a movie into like 9 scenes and you'll just binge those and get the entire gist.
Yes.
I watched so much. The most recent one is a movie called Margin Call, which is just like a Wall Street movie with Kevin Spacey. And then I was looking at Charlie Wilson's War, a movie with Tom Hanks. And I would just watch so many clips. I mean, is this something that only I do, or who does this?
So this is something I never do, except I happened to do this in the past couple of weeks as well. I was watching clips from Office Space, a movie I have not seen.
That was in my recommended, yeah. I haven't seen it either. It seems
what is
so
going
old.
on?
What is going on? I think it's just the algorithm coming in strong.
Yeah, I guess we don't have free will after all. It's just the YouTube algorithm decides what we watch.
I also watched Twin Peaks No Context, which I would recommend. And like Better Call Saul, but then I would just go to Netflix and watch the rest of the episode because Better Call Saul I might like more than Breaking Bad.
I have heard a few people say that, but I think that's the minority opinion.
Yeah, and even like just because there's so much Breaking Bad, and I only ever go for the rewatch. We're gonna talk. Did you see El Camino?
I have not watched it yet.
Damn. Okay. Well, I will try to give my best overview when we get to that. Also, the podcast always seems to be front loaded with me, so we'll get to what you did sooner rather than later. But Breaking Bad, the problem is it like even though there's only like what was it 6 seasons or 5 seasons?
5 seasons, I believe.
Yeah,
I watched them all this year for the first time, actually.
Yeah. Looking back, there's a lot of downtime in each episode. It gets kind of, I wouldn't say slow, I would say methodical. Whereas in Better Call Saul, I feel like it's more jam-packed with things I want to see. I want to see the courtroom drama. I want to see Mike Ehrmantraut's story. I love the character Mike is one of the is probably like the best part of that show, even though it's called Better Call Saul. Anyway, and I'll talk about El Camino after, or how should we do this? I'm the ball's in your court.
Okay, I don't mind taking the lead for once. I can talk about what I've been playing, video game wise, since we are a video game podcast after all.
Yeah, now we can admit it.
So, I've played a smattering of different things. I think I'll start with the obvious one, which is Prey, which I have finished.
Yeah.
It's all over, and it is quite the experience. I made some notes. So, Heath, there is a small collection of games that I have been blown away by the ending. Video games, they don't always have to land a super strong ending. They can just kind of fizzle out because many of them are just kind of gameplay loops. They don't need a strong narrative, cohesive conclusion.
Yeah, Into the Breach doesn't have a good ending at all.
Yeah, you reach the end of your objective, and then...
That being said, I tried the Smoke guys. It wasn't for me. You know who's my cup of tea? Is the ones that lose health but gain it when they kill somebody.
Oh, I've never used that squad.
Oh, they're great.
Which one are they?
I mean, they got like a green color palette, and they take like 6 coins to unlock, but it's a lot of fun.
Okay. Yeah, give me more reasons to revisit Into the Breach. I'll be happy to do so. Okay, so video games that have amazing endings, in my opinion. I'm thinking like BioShock Infinite. I'm thinking of Nier Automata. I'm thinking of Danganronpa V3. These are endings that, after seeing them to their conclusion, they've elevated my opinion of the entire game by a significant degree, based purely on the strength of how the game wrapped up.
I mean, I broke out in hives when you didn't mention Inside, but I'm going to let that slide.
Inside is maybe, if the ones I just mentioned were S tier, Inside would be A tier, definitely.
Okay, I will accept that.
What? Oh, Prey is the game we're talking about. Prey has an A tier ending as well.
Okay,
it is super great. The word that comes to mind to describe this ending is the word consequences.
Ooh, from Neuromods?
Obviously no specifics here, but it holistically summarizes the way you've been playing throughout the entire game and then spits out the corresponding conclusion tailor-made to how you chose to play the game. And nothing felt cheap. It all felt deserved, whether you get a positive outcome or a negative one. There's actually, like, as far as I could tell, there are 3 very different ways you can actually go about triggering the ending of the game. And that's fun because some of them they can offer like different gameplay routes and also offer different like moral routes based on how comfortable you are with different outcomes. But in conclusion, the ending blew me away. It simultaneously made me feel rewarded for all the acts of good I had done while playing Prey, while feeling oh so guilty.
Okay, because are you rescuing other crew members?
Yeah, so
of the not spaceship that you're on?
Yeah, the space station. Here's a cool thing about Prey. Every single human you encounter, every single mainline quest giver, every main character and supporting role, you can kill all of them. They are all expendable. There's no, you hit a guy, he crouches down for a couple seconds and then stands back up. The story can vary wildly based on who you spare or save. And that was all reflected in the ending I got. That's enough talk about the ending, which I can't actually spoil here. Other cool things? A common complaint of like a big open world game or just video games in general is when you get a quest, the quest giver, he's trying to instill in you like a sense of urgency, how you have to go run away and complete a quest immediately.
And you start it, and then you maybe not loop back around to it.
Yeah, you get sidetracked. You go search for meaningless collectibles in the big open world. You come back to the quest maybe 5.
And he's like, oh, you're just in time.
Yes, it's very cheesy. It's very video gamey. That is not the case in Prey. There is a real-world timer going on behind some of these quests. Sometimes that timer is made very explicit to you, and you see it counting down on your screen. Other times, you might just be too late and not realize it. So that's really cool. It's not present on every single objective. That would be probably overly stressful, but it's present just enough to when the time really matters, it adds a lot more weight to what you're actually doing in game.
Okay.
So I really appreciate that. You can get very creative with how you tackle these little snags you run into across your playthrough. I've got 2 examples, one small one and one bigger one. There's one branch of skills you can upgrade called leverage, which allows you to carry heavier and heavier objects around the environment. Until, if you fully upgrade it, it says you can pick up anything that isn't bolted down, which is, you can just pick up whole filing cabinets and like bookshelves. But carrying stuff, maybe not the most exciting skill. I only leveled it up to leverage level 1, so I can pick up like duffel bags and stuff. However, every once in a while, I'd encounter like a ventilation shaft or a tunnel in the floor that was blocked by a pesky object that requires leverage level 2 to lift. That could be a problem, right? I didn't fully spec into that skill range, but what I figured out you could do, I could take my weak leverage level 1 objects, pick them up, and repeatedly throw them at those leverage level 2 items, ever so slightly shifting them with each hurl until they were moved far enough out of the way so that I could get into that ventilation shaft. So yeah, that's a hot tip for all you Prey players. Leverage level 1 is all you need.
Is that something that you anticipate that they designed, or is that an oversight?
I think they probably designed that because you could use like explosives to move heavy objects, which you don't need any kind of leverage skill for. Yeah, so that's just one kind of like workaround if you're thinking cleverly that you can improvise with. A much more interesting example is I came across this valuable area I wanted to get into. It was a morgue in a basement. And there was a window, I could see what was in there. There were like some neuromods that I really wanted to get. The door to the morgue, however, was locked. And I did some reconnaissance around the area, went to a local terminal, hacked it to try to get some info. And on that terminal, it actually informed me that there is an operator, which is kind of like this autonomous robot that is on a 24-hour clock that once every 24 hours part of its routine is going into the morgue to do maintenance. And you could wait for that time in the operator's cycle and sneak in behind it to get into the morgue, which is one option to get in here. I did not have the patience to do so, though. Another way to get in, that door was locked, but if you had the right security clearance card from like the right person on the ship, you could unlock it that way. I, however, never happened to come across the right person, so that was also not accessible to me. There was a window, and you can break glass in this game with your wrench.
Yeah, it's like the first thing you do.
That's the first thing you do. So that seems like a really easy way to get in. However, this was a barred window, so I could shatter the glass, but then there were big metal bars preventing me from getting in. If I had, I don't know.
Leverage 2.
If I had spec'd into one of the alien skill trees, which I completely avoided in my playthrough, I could have used like
could you like slither through the bars?
That might be an option. What you can definitely do is spec into telekinesis, where I could have shattered the window and then levitated the neuromods through the bars to me so I could get them that way.
Oh, okay.
But once again, I was going pure human this playthrough, so that was not an option for me either. So how did I finally get into this room, Heath? There is this running joke around, because you're on a space station that's a workplace, and all these engineers and scientists, they have some downtime. You'll find frequently in their terminal communications that some of them did this project they basically made a Nerf gun. It's called the Huntress Bolt Caster. They 3D printed them. It's like a crossbow that shoots foam darts. So I picked up one of these at some point. It is useless in combat, but what it can do is those darts are actually, they work on computer touchscreens. So at certain points in the game, I've used them to...
What, like they'll mimic the touch of your finger?
Yeah, that's essentially what they do. So what I did was I broke the glass, aimed my Nerf gun through the bars, and actually shot the button that was the manual lock override on the door from inside the room. And that was what unlocked the door and allowed me to get into the morgue.
Dude, this sounds like you would love Riddler trophies, because that's all they are, is it's like you gotta figure out how to get to the thing.
But, okay, maybe correct me if I'm wrong. Do Riddler trophies have one predetermined solution?
Okay, yeah. It's you have to electrocute the thing and then use the Batmobile to winch the thing.
Gotcha. I like Prey's approach more. Well, yeah, that's my issue with Riddler trophies. I like the Prey. I could see all the different possible solutions, many of which weren't working for me. It's just finding one that will work. And I like it a lot. So, love the creativity on display in Prey. It's brimming with great ideas. I think after this, I've got to give my credit to Arcane Studios. I think I need to promote them to my personal S-tier list of developers. They've never, ever failed to blow my socks off. So who else is...
They joined Supergiant and Project Red and...
This is actually astounding, Heath, because those were the only two game developers I had in my S tier. So you named them right off the bat.
Oh yeah, I know you.
CD Projekt Red and Supergiant Games. And Arcane now joins the hallowed halls of my S tier. I cannot wait for them to come out with their next game, Deathloop, which apparently, might be like it's called Deathloop. I'm thinking it's about time manipulation, maybe like a Outer Wilds. Ooh. So that could be very interesting. And they've already proven their chops for cool time manipulation mechanics with certain levels in Dishonored 2.
I saw a YouTube thumbnail that perfectly describes games like Outer Wilds. They're clockwork games.
Oh, you're talking about the Game Maker's Toolkit video?
Oh, goddamn.
He's great.
I really need to watch myself before I take credit for something, and then you're like, oh, yeah, that's Game Maker's Toolkit, because I didn't bother to watch it.
Oh, yeah, that's a fantastic video. Outer Wilds is heavily featured in it.
Okay, goddamn, you gotta hurry up and play that so I can talk to you about the sand.
Yes, yeah. I'm super going to play that. Don't worry. But that's all I had to say about Prey. Just gushing about it. Nothing real negative to say.
All right, and with that, it's the Heath show now. First thing that I had to talk about, I beat Minit.
Okay.
You played Minit.
I did.
Let's talk about Minit.
It's been a minute.
Nice. In retrospect, it feels like a good student game. This is the game that we talked about ages ago. I think it was like 20 episodes ago, which is crazy to say.
Yeah.
You die every 60 seconds, and so you have to use that time wisely to gain information, execute objectives, and slowly work your way across multiple runs to like the next would be fire pit, or what are they called in Dark Souls? Firelink?
Oh,
bonfires. Goddamn.
Bonfires.
Yeah. Really cool. That sense of progression of where you get to like the desert, and then you get to the spooky town, and then the hotel finally. And it makes great use of, because time is limited. So of course, I knew about the old man by the lighthouse that takes your entire lifespan to say like, I remember when I was your age. Anyway, the treasure, you're going to want to swim west. And then you die like just at the period of his sentence if you make it there in time.
Right.
That's perfect. I knew about that. What I didn't know was the quicksand puzzle. I'm going to spoil it ever so slightly. Of course, because you remember in the desert, there's this quicksand that keeps you from going A to B. And you're like, goddamn, I got to get through this quicksand fast so I can get to my next person that I got to talk to. Of course, if you just be patient and stand motionless, you'll sink through the bottom and find a secret item. It's brilliant. Why didn't I think of that?
Is that a mandatory item? Because I don't super remember that.
Oh, you know what? Okay, so this is when you need to buy the running shoes.
Okay.
And the shopkeeper will sell them to you for like 7 coins. There's like 11 coins in world that you can get. That's one way to get one. And it's so smart. I didn't think about that until the ghost told me.
Gotcha. The ghost who's by the oasis, is that right?
Well, you know how you go in the haunted house and you gotta go like run through the floors?
Oh, yeah.
And then all the skeletons turn into hint ghosts?
Yeah, and the floors are cyclical, right, in the haunted house?
Yeah. That was fun. There's quite a few fun things in this game. Did you solve the waiting in line puzzle?
You're going to have to refresh my memory on that one.
Yeah, this was the ancient history. Because, like, the guy that you pick up the cursed sword, and he's like, oh, you're cursed, please return that to the factory. And you go to the factory, and there's, like, a fun bit where this one guy's like, press only. And you have to, like, hold the camera. So he's like, oh, man, you got to be I always wanted to be a journalist. And he lets you through. But if you go down from the front desk of the factory, there's all of these lookalikes waiting in a line. Because, of course, in a game where you don't have time to wait, and the dialogue that they have is like, oh, I've been standing here for hours.
Yeah.
And you just immediately 180 and try to get away from that. I think there's a solution for that part of the game. I just bypassed it, but it's so fun. I don't know who made Minit, but it's on Devolver and stuff, and I got it for free through the Epic Game Store because I love the Epic Game Store. It's so smart for them to make these time-based obstacles that are just brilliant.
Yeah.
Of course, there would be like a conveyor belt thing that would slow you down if you ran against it. Like it's just anything that you could possibly think of. They execute the mechanics so well. That being said, after I beat the game and I fought the sword demon,
right,
it offers you to do New Game Plus. And I couldn't care about New Game Plus. As soon as I found, did you start New Game Plus?
No, not at all. In fact, I was finding it to be a bit of a slog by the time I was reaching the end of the game.
Oh, really? When you're trying to get the hotel tenants?
Yeah, I was ready for it to be over, despite the fact that it's a fairly short game to begin with. I guess I found the concept more alluring than the actual execution.
That's totally fair. Yeah, no one will fault you for that. But I tried to do New Game Plus, and did you ever water the plant west of your house?
I think I might have.
If you take the watering can and you sprinkle it on this one inconspicuous sprout, it'll grow every run. So you'll have to die, get up, water it, die, get up, water it. And if you grow it to its maximum height, it'll give you a heart because you only start with 3 hearts, and that's an opportunity to get an additional heart. New Game Plus, I immediately went to that sprout because you only start with 1 heart. 1 hit point, you're dead. I go to the plant, I water it, it pops out the heart, and I pick it up, and it just shatters.
What?
And the timer keeps going. Also on New Game Plus, it's not 60 seconds, it's 40. So
Whoa.
I'm like, and so I try to progress through the game with less time and only 1 pip of damage before you're dead.
Wow.
I go to that bar, and it's like, oh man, I gotta kill all these crabs again, and I can't find the 5th crab. I have to look it up. Supposedly, it was underneath the bar. You have to bash a pot east of it 5 times before you can go down a staircase, and it'll be like a dark level, and you have to slash at the crab and then walk back to the bar to get what the heck is the item that he gives you? It's it's like the key or something. And so I backed out of that. I wasn't gonna beat the whole game under those circumstances, but I gotta say, Minit, there's few games like it, and I can't imagine another game with this conceit being as charming as it was. Like I said, it feels like a good student game.
Yeah. The other prototype title for Minit could have been Deathloop for all we know. That's essentially what happens.
Yeah, so we'll look forward to that. That's what I'm gonna compare it to, probably. Wait, can Deathloop come to anything that I can play?
Oh, it'll assuredly come to PC, definitely.
Okay. All right, so that was Minit.
Yeah.
Should we continue the Heath show?
Yeah, we could do that. At some point, I do have more to cover.
How long is your thing to cover?
Because
I wrote another 1,000 words.
All right, let's hit that English essay then.
So, like at the end of last episode, I said it's October, so spooky. So I wanted to play a spooky game.
Wait, let me guess. Is this Death by Daylight?
No.
Okay.
Dead by Daylight, I'm kind of bouncing off harder than I would have liked.
Oh.
It's hard because it's a multiplayer only game. So unless you can hang with the big boys, and I haven't struggled in a multiplayer game since the very first Call of Duty, where you're just getting single-digit kills and double-digit deaths until you got good enough. That's the opposite of my experience in Dead by Daylight. I keep getting murdered by the murderer and feeling like I'm letting my teammates down because there's in that game you have to power up generators to escape, and there's quick time events that you have to pass. And if you're next to your teammate and you're both doing quick time events and you fail one, you feel so bad because you're letting the other 3 people down.
There's that.
And they're
pressure.
Clearly more experienced than me, and I don't know which perks are good, and I don't know the routines that they do because it prioritizes healing people and rescuing people, and I'm not sure what the safe distance is when the spooky music kicks in to indicate the proximity of the killer. It's like I'm riding 2 bikes at once. I'm not quite there yet.
It sounds like a very different type of multiplayer game than the type we're usually accustomed to.
Which sucks because I know it'd be so rewarding if I just gave it a couple more tries, but that's not the spooky game that I played.
All right. What was it then?
I played Alan Wake.
Ooh, okay.
And let me tell you, the gameplay is what shines, pun intended. Having to juggle the flashlight and the gun consistently put me on the edge of my seat. It's a lot of fun because if you were to just shoot the possessed guys, it wouldn't do damage unless you broke through their like shadowy, you got to shine the flashlight until they pop, and then you can just headshot them and kill them.
Right, because they're shielded by, it's called the darkness, is it?
Yeah, it's like, we'll talk about the story in a minute. The game also takes a page, pun intended, because you're a writer, from Prey 2017 with its PVO combat, player versus object.
Oh,
you'll be
right.
walking to like the next lamp post because that's like the safe zones. And a railroad tie will shake with evil energy and fly toward you unless you flash it, which is fun. The story is not as fun. It's a little meh. A writer's stories come to life. It's a little trite. Your wife is scared of the dark, 'cause of course. But the presentation is neat. There'll be a title card and an outro at the end of every episode. I've done 4 of the 6 episodes.
Okay,
which
you're
is
pretty far.
More than enough to have an opinion.
Definitely.
The main problem is that it looks so dated, even for 2010. Cutscenes suffer from what I'll call ventriloquist dummy face. Button prompts have the big red B. It gave me XBLA vibes.
Oh yeah, it is totally like an Xbox Live Arcade game, kind of.
And granted, I shouldn't be comparing it to like the AAAs of 2010, but I quit to the menu so I could max out the graphics on high to see if it was much better. It wasn't. It just cooked my GPU. So another thing that I haven't been able to wrap my head around is the game's sense of humor. It's a horror game, but these possessed people that you fight, one on the farm will demonically say, omega-3 fatty acids are good for your heart.
Yeah.
And then there's this one sequence that I will call American Bayonetta.
What?
You seek refuge on this farm that belonged to 2 retired heavy metal band members.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And, wait, did you play this?
Oh yeah. I'm a big fan of Alan Wake.
Yeah. And so you take up defenses on the stage, and your agent Barry, who might as well be that Italian character from Bayonetta.
Yes, kind of.
The short one? What's his name?
Is it Vino or... quick fact check. Enzo. His name is Enzo.
Yeah, Barry might as well be Enzo. He's controlling the lights and the pyro on the stage because, of course, a game about darkness would have a rock concert.
Yeah, and in the game about darkness, your big explosive grenade is just a flashbang, right?
That's cool. Yeah, how it does that. And like the best weapon is the flare gun, and you're so excited when you get an upgraded flashlight.
Right, yeah. I've never been more excited to find batteries in a game.
It's like Energizer. It's like product placement.
Yeah.
So that was fun. Boss battles and like when the demons go into like speed mode and they're just zipping around and like the weird chatter that they have is fun. What is not fun is what I'll call a shadow gangbang.
Oh my.
Let's talk about iframes. Chris, what are iframes?
Iframes are the couple split-second frames of a video game where your character is invincible and impervious from damage.
Yeah, invincibility frames. If the dodging was good, this game wouldn't have worn on me as quickly as it did. I would get stuck on the geometry, eat a couple of off-screen tomahawks before I would start to exploit the AI through bottlenecking and the lack of accuracy drop-off with distance. I'm playing on a controller, and I'm not sure how the aiming is on keyboard and mouse, but Alan Wake is like an expert marksman at a distance. Because if you flashlight a guy, the cursor will sort of stay on them. And so once they pop, regardless of how far away they are, if you just like pop with the right trigger, he will always land on the target. So I would just exploit that because I would get so sick of dying to like this one enemy, this tracksuit wearing motherfucker. Talk about double jeopardy. His attacks would always hit twice, staggering both times, so that another enemy could easily walk up and finish the job. And the camera is so close to Alan Wake's back. I get that it's a horror game and that it's trying to do Senua's Sacrifice 7 years early, but God, half the action in this action game you don't even see.
I see.
And why is there no stamina bar? Alan himself has no melee option. So when enemies who can run as fast as you come within striking distance, what choice do you have? That one dodge that doesn't really work unless you pick the right direction, which I guess is fair, but there's like no forgiveness. Here's my proposal. Make use of a skill tree that you can spec into what kind of Alan Wake you want to play as. Do you want to be expert marksman Alan Wake? Or boosted flashlight Alan Wake? Or axe master Alan Wake? Why doesn't he just pick up these axes and monkey wrenches that the enemies are dropping unless they're supposed to be made of shadow and not really there? Who knows? The primary mechanic should still be Flash-a-goon, Bash-a-goon, but what is clear from my playthrough is that the game sorely needs an XP system or some Batman sparks above the heads of those who are about to throw things at you. Just some quality of life stuff that we would have gotten if this game were made today. Which brings me to Prey. I think I might have been able to recommend this game 9 years ago, but I think you should just play Prey or Luigi's Mansion if you want spooks or Senua's Sacrifice like I was talking about. That's my essay. Take from it what you will, Chris.
Okay. It's been at least 5 years since I've played Alan Wake. I remember being a bit more positive on it than you sound like you are, but maybe it isn't. Maybe it hasn't aged very gracefully. I do have a couple questions for you. So that musical performance part you were at,
it's the best part of the game so far.
Was there a crazy song playing by this fictional band called the Old Gods of Asgard?
Yes.
Okay. I had heard maybe there were like licensing disputes, and that may have been removed from the game. But I'm glad to hear that it is still present and accounted for.
Well, I'm not sure which song it was. It sounded really good, like an actual band did it.
You know, I'm looking it up right now. The Old Gods of Asgard might not actually be a fictional group. They might be real.
The song was good because that's in like episode 4 of 6.
Yeah.
So it might as well be the climax.
It's funny how the game is presented in this episodic manner, but it's just like it's a full release that all came out at once.
I liked it though.
Me too.
Because he's supposed to be a writer, so it would be chapters. And you know what I also really liked? Spoiler. I liked how, scary lady gets you to write a story about how she gets so big and buff and she could haunt the whole town. But how he escaped her clutches by the small bit of him that wasn't totally possessed. He writes in the weird underwater armor wearing guy, and like the light from his face is what lets him escape. That was so out of left field. I thought it was pretty cool.
I totally forgot about that. He's like in a deep sea diving metallic.
Yeah, that's what it is.
He's like a big daddy from BioShock.
Yeah, and he just walks into the house, and the light from his face is supposed to be, I can only tell you so much. Go find the thing.
Right. My final question for you, Heath, is what are your thoughts on the Night Springs in-game TV shows?
Dude, I keep blazing past. I'm not reading any manuscript pages. I only watched one episode of the Night Springs. Is that something I should be stopping to watch?
So Night Springs are a highlight for sure. So this game is made by Remedy, and they have this weird fixation on including live action video in all of their games.
I saw that, yeah.
So in Alan Wake, there are television screens you come across in the world that are playing this live action footage of this fictional TV show called Night Springs. It's clearly supposed to be
Twilight Zone.
They're really good short little skits. And then in Remedy's other games like Quantum Break, that actually includes like full-length TV episodes that are interstitial between chapters of the game that you just actually have to watch. So that's very strange. And I hear Control, their newest game, also has in-universe film recordings as well. So they do a great job integrating live-action actors into their games in this weird, creative ways.
That's unique for sure.
Yeah, don't skip those going forward, I would say. They're mostly short, and I like them all, really.
Okay, yeah.
I think I enjoyed the story more than you did. I appreciate it. It's like a B-list movie kind of thing, kind of cheesy, but I liked it a lot.
Okay, yeah. Alan Wake is, I can see why it's one of the most respected games from its era.
Right.
I definitely wanted to play it for historical purposes, if that makes any sense to anyone who's like, how could a video game be historical?
Oh, it makes sense. I've definitely played games that I didn't love for their historical significance. Should we move on?
All right, yeah, back to the Chris show.
Okay. So, I played a couple other odds and ends here. The shortest of which is I played a little Destiny 2. And now
that's so popular.
So popular,
right?
And
because it's free now.
It is now a free-to-play game. Destiny 2 is a very confusing game to get into if you're a newcomer. It came out originally back in 2017 for $60. It was a full-price game. Made by Bungie of Halo fame, and it was published by Activision of Call of Duty
And they
fame.
planned to do like a 10-year thing with it, right? Or was that Destiny 1?
I think the whole Destiny franchise was supposed to be 10 years, starting in 2014. So it's only 2019 now, which means we're only halfway through that original timeline. Bungie has split away from Activision. They're no longer being published. Destiny is no longer published by Activision, which means Destiny is no longer on Blizzard's Battle.net service. It's now on Steam properly.
And the people answered.
Yeah, it's now free to play. You can buy the new expansion called Shadowkeep for real-world money. I think it's maybe $40. I haven't actually looked.
How recently did this go up?
It was, I think, like October 1st or so.
Okay, because if I look it up right now, it is the third most played game right now on Steam with almost 300K players.
Wow, is that concurrent?
Or no, that's peak players.
Peak players.
Currently, it's 211K.
And it's like early on a Sunday right now. So yeah, pretty impressive.
For a game that came out 2 years ago.
Right, but it's probably getting a big influx of new players who have never tried it, but are now encouraged to because it's free.
Yeah, they weren't going to pay the $60, but boy, are they going to play it now.
So my history with Destiny 2 is actually I bought a new graphics card in 2018, and as an incentive for getting it, it came with a free copy of Destiny 2 at the time, which was still like a premium video game back then. So that's when I first played it. I'm not into the whole late game aspects. I just played like the single player campaign part.
Interesting.
That just has like story beats and cutscenes, and as soon as I finished that and the credits rolled, I dropped the game. For many real Destiny 2 players, they'd say that's when the game begins. So yeah, I didn't do any raids or nightfall strikes or anything like that. In fact, I didn't even play with other people. I didn't have anyone in my strike group. It was just a single player.
That is not how they intended you to play.
No, it wasn't a game I was really interested in playing. I just thought I'd give it a run through because it came for free with my graphics card. So I did the character transfer process to play it on Steam. I booted it up just to check it out, and it's definitely Destiny 2, although it's even more confusing now. This is the craziest thing to me.
What?
If you are a brand new Destiny 2 player,
I would be,
and you download this new version called Destiny 2 New Light, I believe is the subtitle. What you are first greeted with are like the first few missions of Destiny 1 are how you start playing Destiny 2.
Wait, okay, can I cut in for a second?
Sure.
I heard that, new players are in for like a not so good surprise, because isn't the hub world still concurrent with the current Destiny 2 events or that have followed Destiny 1. So yeah, you'll boot it up and be in the hub world, and then like an NPC beside you'll be like, boy, I can't believe such and such is dead. And then you'll load up the first mission and it'll be like, hi, I'm such and such, I'll be here forever.
Yeah, it's
Isn't that true?
I think definitely, maybe if that's not word for word true, I think there are definitely aspects like that, where it's this weird amalgamation of the first two games combined to onboard players, and I hear it does a very poor job of introducing people to the systems right now.
They gotta fix that.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't have any gameplay impressions really. Destiny has always been a franchise where I think the shooting feels great, and I don't want to put up with any of the grinding to get like the late game gear, so I drop it.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I had to say about Destiny 2 for now, which brings me to the final thing I've been playing, which is the Spyro Reignited Trilogy.
Oh,
Oh, yeah. So Heath is excited for this.
Did you say trilogy? Sorry, my groan covered that. It's the Reignited what?
Yes, trilogy. So these are the
Oh God, that's so much.
These are the first three Spyro games made by Insomniac Games in the late 90s.
Oh wait, we like Insomniac, right?
Yeah, they're the Spyro, they're Ratchet and Clank, they're Spider-Man, they're Resistance.
Oh, they're Spider-Man. Oh.
Yeah. So this was their origins, and it's how I was introduced to them as a 5 or 6-year-old child. So obviously, I'm coming to these games with all of the nostalgia in the world. If I could pick any video games from my childhood that I remember most fondly, it would be these three Spyro games.
Wow.
So I am the exact target demographic for these remastered games.
All right, please take a moment and just try to pitch Spyro to anyone with a pulse for me right now.
This is very much my experience with them. Obviously, this is not exactly my wheelhouse. These are 3D platformers / collectathon games like Banjo-Kazooie or something, where you're just running throughout these big, not even big, these medium-sized hub world environments, picking up gems and dragon eggs because they are literally littered across the entire landscape. You can't walk 5 feet without finding some more, and just picking them all up. It is super checklisty, where you are just trying to get all 700 gems in this one level and find them all.
It's like Crackdown.
Yeah, like the orbs in the city. Yeah.
But instead of cool mercenary man, it's a purple dragon.
You are Spyro, the purple dragon. Yeah. So I actually did not start playing with the first game in the trilogy. As a kid, I played these three games in reverse order. So the one I'm actually playing right now is it's the third one, Spyro Year of the Dragon, which is my favorite.
Gosh, I I heard a Yakuza title in there.
Yeah, it's actually pretty similar. Oh, and Spyro Year of the Dragon came out in the year 2000, which I think on the Chinese calendar is the Year of the Dragon. So very appropriate there. That's clearly where they got the title from. So the most striking thing to me, Heath, is I am nearly done with Spyro Year of the Dragon. I am at the final hub world. I have 87 eggs collected. I need to hit 100 to face the final boss. I have gotten that far after 6 hours of playtime. As a kid, I'm pretty sure I played these games for months and months on end. It felt like an eternity, like it never ended. After a week of lightly playing this game, I am at the end. It is astonishing to me how short the game is.
Well, I mean, because when you're a kid, months and months is like 5% of your entire life.
Probably more of that. Yeah. Like I was playing these games in the first grade, I said. I think I was 6. And yeah, so the levels, I go into a new level of which there are, I think, maybe like 45 in the game. And a level is like a 10-minute affair. It's super short. So that's great. I'm like on a nostalgia roller coaster. I'm hopping from level to level to level so quickly. And I have a big smile on my face the whole time. The soundtrack is, what's cool about the soundtrack is that they include all of the original songs, but they also have a reignited version, they call it, which is like a new rendition. And I thought for certain I would just be booting up all these levels with the old music playing. But I find myself switching back and forth because I like both of them a lot.
Oh.
They did a great job remastering the songs and putting new spins on them.
Did they get T. Lopes to do it?
I can't say for sure, maybe.
Because if they did, I'm about to be a Spyro fan.
Who's T. Lopes?
He's the composer for all the Sonic Mania songs.
Oh, I'd have to look into that.
He's my favorite video game composer. Sorry, Toby Fox.
Gotcha. Here's a deep cut. On like teen Nickelodeon in the 90s.
I'm listening.
Are you familiar with The Amanda Show?
That was too early for me. I recognized Drake and Josh on it, but that's it.
Yes, that's where Drake and Josh got their start. The end credits song for The Amanda Show is a Spyro the Dragon song.
That's so wait. Is the Spyro end credits song an Amanda Show song? Because I think you said that in reverse.
Oh, yeah, I don't know the order of operations here.
Because I don't think the executives at Teen Nickelodeon are like, we need a credit song for this Amanda Show. What do you got, child? And he's playing Spyro, and it's like the perfect song. Like, which chicken and egg?
All right, let's fact check this right now.
God damn.
Amanda Show end credits song.
I mean, maybe the TV show would rip off the video game song because who's going to complain? It's a video game. It means nothing.
Okay, so the songs are composed by the same guy, Stuart Copeland. As you can see, the end credits song of The Amanda Show is a remix of the level Wizard Peak from Spyro the Dragon.
Oh, that's so weird. Well, it's a remix, so the Spyro song had to have come first.
Yes, that's what I think it's saying.
And did it's Amanda Bynes, right?
I think so.
Or just like, what's his name? Something Schneider. Dan Schneider. Did Dan Schneider play Spyro and be like, this has got to be in my new show?
I think that is clearly... Yeah, okay, the Amanda Show stole a Spyro theme song.
Astonishing.
I remember as a kid that blew my mind. I thought, like, this song was this ubiquitous thing in the world that everything used, but that's not the case.
Oh, really? That's stupid.
Yeah. I mean, how would I know? I keep hearing this song popping up in all different pieces of entertainment. I thought it was like a famous song, but it's not. Yeah, so this game, I would describe it as eating candy. It has It's super bright and colorful. It's a lot of fun. There's not a whole lot of substance there. If you have no attachment to these games, I would not recommend you play them in 2019. It is pure nostalgia that is getting me through it, which I'm having a great time, but I don't think other people would echo my experience there.
All right.
Yeah. I guess the one thing of note that's cool about Year of the Dragon is that's the game in the franchise that introduces 4 additional playable characters to Spyro. You have Sheila the
Blue
kangaroo.
Spyro. Orange Spyro.
No, that's lame. That's like something Sonic would do. Sergeant Bird, who is this military penguin, this Yeti guy, and then also Agent 9, who is a monkey with a blaster gun. And they all have their own unique gameplay spins. Like Agent 9 is practically a third-person shooter in a Spyro game. So they add some much-needed gameplay variety, and I'm having a blast. Oh, I wasn't planning on playing this game super recently. It just came out on the PC, although it came out on consoles like last year. The reason I'm playing it right away is you're familiar with the storefront called Humble Bundle, right, Heath?
Yeah.
Okay, they have this monthly subscription service that you can cancel at any time, so you could just hop in for 1 month, which is what I've done. It's $12, and then what this month it gets you is you get the Spyro Reignited Trilogy, you get the Crash Insane Trilogy, and you get Call of Duty World War II, all for $12, and then at the end of the... Yeah, one of these is not like the others. They are all Activision games, though, so they must have cut a deal with them. And then
Gotcha.
at the end of the month, you get 3 or 4 more games on top of that, although they're probably going to be less notable releases. And that's all for $12. That was an outrageous deal for me. I had to dive in.
Very cool. I will take your advice and find my candy elsewhere.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, so that's all we've been playing. That was a long what we've been playing segment, over an hour. I guess we should now take a break and come back with news bits.
Yes, please. What's first, Chris? Oh, we're back, by the way.
Yeah, we're definitely back. I think you have most of the news this week, Heath, so why don't you kick us off?
Well, I was also going to finish the Breaking Bad thing that I was going to talk about. Here's how I'll do it. Dr. Disrespect tweeted yesterday that he didn't care for the El Camino movie on Netflix.
Okay.
He said that it was slow and unneeded. He gave it a 5.9 out of 10. He said the best TV series in history didn't need this. It was generic, unneeded again, disappointed. They created something legendary and watered it down with a side salad. Now, here's what I will say. I think the word, and I read this somewhere, the word that best describes the El Camino movie is meditative, not boring. Vince Gilligan, my favorite TV writer, producer, he made a movie that fits so well with his TV show. Remember how I was talking about how like Breaking Bad, it'll have turtles exploding and gunfights and cool stuff, very lightly interspersed with the family sitting down to eat breakfast. And that works when it's in a TV show that you're watching from week to week. But when you're watching an hour-plus movie, for it to be that slowly paced, and it's not as slow as Dr. Disrespect would indicate. I think from Dr. Disrespect's point of view, the way that the series ended with Jesse speeding off into the horizon, he thought that it was going to culminate more like... You remember watching the movie Salt with Angelina Jolie?
I do not remember watching that movie.
I mean, I wouldn't recommend it, but I think that one is like a thrill a minute, and you're constantly trying to keep up with all the action that's going on. I think that Dr. Disrespect wanted the El Camino movie to be that. Jesse narrowly avoiding the cops, which he does, but just to a greater extent than what we saw. It gets very quiet at times. So that's all I'll say about that. News. Let's do news. You wanted a news of mine?
Yeah. Yes, please.
Well, we could talk about my nostalgia because I don't know about you, but I played Brain Age when it came out on the DS. So that's coming to the Switch in December.
Very cool. So that's like a new reimagining, a new take on the Brain Age formula, or is it a port of the old games?
It's probably a port with some different stuff sprinkled in. It's not a new full-blown game.
Gotcha.
There's also a Brain Age 2, so they might combine them or whatever.
Take the Destiny approach.
Yeah. I will definitely be picking up this game or putting it on a holiday wish list because it was a lot of fun. And it's not easy. Aside from like the basics that you can think of, like Simple Addition, there would be fun memory games. Like you'd have to keep track of how many people went in and out of this house just from the people going in and leaving in different amounts. They'll do the thing where the word blue is written in red and the word green is written in yellow, and you have to keep track of that. Lots of fun. And I mean, I would recommend this to any family member who's getting Alzheimer's-y. The game comes with a stylus if you pick up a physical copy. I would recommend that because you're not going to want to put your schlubby finger on the screen.
Definitely not.
So that's a definite for your Christmas list. Also, speaking of winter and cold, Frostpunk is on console now. To my surprise, how is it going to control? Because it's a strategy game.
Right. It seems very mouse and keyboard centric, but
you need a cursor.
From what I've heard, they figured out a way to make it work. I've heard people say that this is a very competent port of the game.
That's weird. Okay, but I'll take your word for it. I still have not picked up Frostpunk just because I got other things to do, even though it is on my radar and has been since like the first episode or like the second.
Yeah, you were saying how it's one of the few games on your highly curated Steam wishlist.
True, it is. Yeah.
In contrast to my Steam wishlist, which definitely has over 100 games on it.
All right. Did you want to talk about Red Dead?
Yeah, just briefly. I can't wait. Red Dead Redemption 2, I should say, is coming to PC this year, earlier than I would have anticipated.
Why do we care so much that it's going to be PC?
I want that high frame rate. That's about it.
How low is it on my Xbox?
It's probably 30 frames per second.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's the main reason I've been holding off on playing what is probably the game that is out that I most want to play right now. So it has been a bit of an effort on my part, not just buying like the PlayStation version. My watch will come to an end later in December is when the Steam version comes. Apparently,
yeah,
it's out in November on like Stadia and on...
What? You just did a Ghost from the Past. Oh my God.
Yeah, Stadia is coming, Heath. We're like a month out.
But we forgot about it. Doesn't it stop existing once we forget about it?
I think the people at Google would be concerned if that was the case. Also, Rockstar came out with their own launcher. Yeah, another PC game launcher to add to the launcher wars. So if you get Red Dead there, I think you can like pick a couple old games of theirs for free as like a reward. I think they offer things like Max Payne 3 or like Bully, if you remember that game.
I've already played all the Rockstar games that I wanted.
Gotcha. So not much incentive there for you.
LA Noire, GTA 5, and the Red Deads. Yeah,
Yeah, pretty much same goes for me. So I will be buying it on Steam whenever that comes out.
Okay, I can see why.
Definitely not the Epic Game Store.
Psh.
Moving on, Heath, tell me about President Trump.
All right, so following in the steps of Andrew Yang and Bernie Sanders, President Trump has his own Twitch account. And for those of you who may have got pretty excited about him potentially sitting in on games and stuff, from what we've seen, it's just a way of him to live stream rallies. It's like the only broadcast is one he did in like Minnesota. I was hoping it would be more fun chat interaction, but that has yet to be seen. So it's a non-news false alarm, everybody.
Right, just kind of providing an update. I would be surprised if that evolved into anything more substantial there.
No, because he's got more important things to do.
Yeah.
Unlike us.
So this has been like the lightning news hour, just a whole bunch of short little things. Would you like to dive into something a little more substantial, Heath?
Sure, hit me with it.
Okay, let's talk about what's going on with Sony right now, because there are a whole bunch of Sony headlines coming out. The biggest one of which is that they have officially acknowledged the name of the next PlayStation console. Surprise, surprise, it's called the PlayStation 5, the sequel
As
to the
it ought to have been.
4. Yeah, at this point, they're pretty locked into their naming scheme, right? You don't want to pull an Xbox One situation.
Right.
Heath, have you heard about any of the interesting features that they announced in this most recent news article? This was like a Wired exclusive, I think. Either that or it was just from the PlayStation blog proper. Okay, Heath, here's the thing that has people the most hyped. You like pulling triggers on a game controller, right?
I have tend to do, yeah.
What if those triggers could fight back?
Wait, so if you have to... Are you saying there's going to be like a clash moment, and instead of like mashing a button to overcome the opponent, you have to like fight the trigger?
That is not what I'm saying. So,
dang.
A new feature on the DualShock 5 controller will be, in order to differentiate the weapon feel even more between different guns or bows and arrows or anything you're shooting in a game, the developers will be able to program higher levels of tension required to pull down on the triggers of the console, which could, in theory, make something like pulling back a heavy draw weight of a bow as opposed to pulling a trigger on a gun. It could take a lot more, maybe not a lot more, just a little more effort on your fingers to like pull back a drawstring than it would be to shoot a gun. So providing just one more way to immerse yourself further into the game feel of a action game, perhaps. What's your take on that? Does that seem like
I'm thinking of every prompt in Heavy Rain where like, oh, you have to swaddle the baby and it's like light and delicate maybe, and then oh, you have to like push open the car door that's sinking into the ocean and it's like super firm. I don't know how to feel about this.
Yeah, Quantic Dream could have a field day with this. They could bring a whole new dimension to their QuickTime events. I see it, if I just had to guess, I could see like a whole bunch of first-party games at launch using this feature, and then...
Oh yeah, 1-2 PS5 is confirmed.
That you're referencing 1-2 Switch. I could see it being shortly abandoned afterwards. I could see
Well, actually, I think it'll be like an Until Dawn hold your breath slide up prompt.
Oh, yeah. That is a cool use of the PlayStation Light Bar. Yeah, I feel like third parties wouldn't be super incentivized to use this because they'd have to program it in only for the PlayStation version, and then the other consoles obviously don't have these high tension triggers. So that would be a wasted feature on other platforms.
It's like blowing on your Wii U. Did you ever have to do that?
No, I never had a Wii U. I had to blow into my DS before.
Yeah. Wait, can you blow on your Switch?
I don't think you can.
Is your Switch blow-proof?
Mine is permanently attached to my dock, so I never really blow on it.
Okay, because what are they... Because I know you had to blow on it for Captain Toad.
Another cool little feature they announced coming to the PlayStation 5 is that instead of hitting play on a certain game, booting up to the start menu, then hitting continue or just loading up your most recent save file, instead, from like your console's UI dashboard, you can just load into a certain specific level right from the start. No need to go to the start menu first and then choose level in-game. You can just kind of skip a step.
Like how the Switch does it?
I don't think so, because you're talking about how the Switch, you can like put it into rest mode or suspend it and then just like open it up right away.
I click the home button and I leave.
The PS4 currently does that.
But the PS5 is better?
You could be more granular about which part of the game you want to load, I guess.
Okay.
Which, it's not a game changer or anything. So those are just a couple of tidbits that came out about the PlayStation 5. They have an official release window, which is exactly what we suspected it to be. It's holiday 2020. Be on the lookout then.
Wait, when does Last of Us 2 come out?
February of 2020.
Okay, so that's basically the end of the PS4.
Yeah, we still are waiting on that other first-party game, Ghost of Tsushima, but we don't have a release date.
Is that like a Dark Souls?
It is a feudal Japan game. It's by Sucker Punch, the people who make Infamous.
Uh-huh. Okay.
It looks quite good. Probably an open world game. That's not the only Sony news headline, though. Just another kind of aside. They announced that you're familiar with crossplay, right, Heath?
Fortnite?
Yeah. So that's games where PlayStation players playing a game like Fortnite can also play against Xbox players or PC players or Switch players, people playing on a different device.
That was how you picked friend groups in middle school.
Right. Either you pick your friend groups based on console or you pick your console based on friend group. I guess it could depend.
The first one.
That feature, the crossplay, has been in beta for a while. Only certain games were able to use it, Fortnite being the biggest. I think Rocket League is also an example. They've announced the feature is leaving beta, and now any developer who wants to can put in cross-play functionality.
Why would you not?
Yeah, that's huge. We're breaking down all these big barriers and walls between the platforms, and they're starting to play nicely with each other. You could play Call of Duty Modern Warfare when that comes out later this month with, hypothetically, PlayStation users who, up until now, have been in their own isolated silo. So that's awesome. I hope it becomes ubiquitous and all developers put that feature in there.
Is today the day we find out the result of our bet on the storage that's going to be on the PS5?
What was our bet?
I thought it was going to be like 512 gigs of SSD.
Oh, gotcha.
Or maybe even smaller.
You are crazy. It's going to be a 1 terabyte minimum. Was that the bet? I don't remember the bet.
It was, yeah, it was.
Okay. Well, they have not announced the capacity of the memory.
Of storage.
Of storage, right. Hard drive space. Last but not least, one of the biggest Sony PlayStation-related executives has left the company, and that would be
Phil Spencer?
He's Xbox.
Shawn Layden?
This is Shawn Layden, yes. He kind of unceremoniously, they sent a tweet to Twitter announcing his departure. They said it was with great emotion that he was leaving. And it's kind of all of a sudden. And then I don't know how much you want to read into this, Heath, but shortly after that tweet came out was when they did the big blowout about the PlayStation 5. They announced that this crossplay is now a full feature. I don't know if he was trying to, if he did not want these things happening and then they pushed him out, or yeah, we don't have any of the details. He could have totally left for personal reasons, but it seems slightly bizarre to be making big announcements and moves right after your executive leaves without announcing a replacement.
Weird.
Yeah. Yeah, they have not replaced him. He had a very peculiar title.
Was he just like a business CEO, but he was also like the spokesperson, right? The fun guy?
I never particularly saw him as super fun, but he was definitely like a face of the PlayStation brand.
Who was the fun face of PlayStation? Way back in like the Move era.
Oh.
You know that one guy?
Jack Trenton? Is that him?
He looked like the NFL commissioner.
So Shawn Layden was formerly the chairman of SIE Worldwide Studios, where SIE is Sony Interactive Entertainment. He is now a thing of the past when it comes to PlayStation.
He will be a villain in the Spider-Man sequel.
Maybe. So that's all I had to say about what's going on with Sony these days. Lots of stuff. Lots of it future leaning.
When Cyberpunk? Wait. Like March?
I believe it's April.
Oh, okay. So that's the last PlayStation game.
Sure.
Don't get it twisted.
Well, so you're expecting May, June, July, August, September to be
a ghost town.
This ghost town of drought.
Dead zone.
No new releases.
The third and fourth quarter won't exist.
Okay. I don't have any more news. What about you, Heath?
No, that was all I had.
Well, there are no emails this week. Did we just end the podcast?
Well, okay, so Prey's done. So what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do now? You gonna go back into Three Houses, or you've been doing Three Houses?
No, I haven't been doing Three Houses since the Boston road trip. Probably not. Gonna wrap up Spyro. There shouldn't be much left. My next game I'm playing is TBD.
Okay.
And you? What about you?
My next game I'll be playing. Nothing super interesting coming to the Epic Game Store. There's Alan Wake's American Nightmare. Did you ever play the DLC for Alan Wake?
I actually have played that. I do not recommend it.
No, I'm looking at the thumbnail for it right now. He's holding like a nail gun, and it looks very Dead Rising, which I think is not the direction you should go.
I would describe Alan Wake's American Nightmare as the combat from Alan Wake in a repetitive loop with none of the charming narrative elements that I liked a lot.
That's a bummer. Maybe I'll do Celeste. I still have Fez. I haven't touched Fez, and Hyper Light Drifter has just been slowly. I haven't beaten a single boss.
Oh, okay.
That's where I'm at. Hopefully something will just come out of nowhere.
That would be very cool.
All right, let's end this episode.
Yeah, I've enjoyed the episode. I think it might be one of our more rambling, incoherent ones, but that's fine.
No. It's we were pretty on track.
Gotcha.
I feel.
Yeah, we were on track. We just bounced around to a whole bunch of different subjects that we were on track for.
Yeah, but then I'll edit it to be good.
Okay, sweet. So this was episode 26 of Mobius Tubes. You can add a third segment to our podcast by sending us an email.
Please do.
At the address mobiustubespodcast@gmail.com. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can do so. The handle is @MobiusTubes. And that's going to be a wrap for this. This will be debuting in late October. So, oh man, November is when the Game Award nominees get announced. So that will be on the cusp of the next episode or so.
Easy peasy. That's going to be just instant content.
Yes. And then after that, we'll have our holiday special. And our content will be writing itself. It'll be much like the Nate days back when he gave us emails.
We love being freeloaders.
Yes. So until next time.
Thanks for I said thanks for watching. God, smash that like button. Thanks for listening.
See ya.